Next, let's talk about channels and their best practices. So in Sendbird, there are a few different channel types. So one is the open channel and the other is the group channel. Now the big differentiator here is the scaling of the channel size and whether the channel is public or private. So open channels by default are public channels by nature. They include users as participants inside the channel. And once the user is no longer actively looking at that channel anymore within your application, then they're no longer a participant inside that channel. So it's usually used for live streaming kind of cases where the user is constantly looking at that chat. Group channels, on the other hand, have this concept of membership. So the users are invited into the channels and they can automatically accept or decline those invites, or they can manually accept and decline invitations into the group channels. And members, and once they're a member of that chat, they're always a member of that chat. So if they fetch the listing of all of their channels, they'll get back all the channels that they're a part of in this group channel list. Group channels also have real-time actions available, such as read receipts, typing indicators, and push notifications for the group channels. And group channels by default are private channels. So think about these as direct messaging channels, one-on-one chats, or they can be small group channels up to 100. We also support super group size channels, which means the channels that go above 100 in size. So if you need a larger group channel, that's still possible where the users are still members inside a supergroup channel, but there's a little bit of a difference between some of the real-time actions and things available. Group channels themselves, they can be distinct or they can be non-distinct. So this distinct property means that, say, if I invite another user into a chat and I always want to and return to that same channel with that same user, I set this distinct property to true. So this means it's a unique channel between me and that other user. That means if I try to create another channel with that user, it should populate back to the same channel that we had before, unless I choose to not make a distinct channel where I could have multiple users, or sorry, multiple channels with the same user. This can be group channels that include multiple members as well. So it doesn't have to just be a one-on-one chat. It can include multiple users in the same chat, and that can still have the distinct property. Channels can also have a custom type. So you can mark the channel based on whatever you need it to be for this type, for rendering purposes or for filtering purposes is what we usually see this custom type used for. So you can mark a special type of channel. By default, querying all the channels will not return something called empty channels. So in Sendbird, an empty channel means a channel that doesn't have any messages inside of it. So if I invite another user to a channel, but I have not sent a message to that channel yet, that chat is considered an empty channel. To show every single channel, including these empty ones, you'll have to set a show empty property to true. Now here's some more details about channel filtering. So the custom type, that's one of them that you can use. It's a string value that you can easily populate on whatever channel you have and filter on that as you need. You can filter on channel URLs as well. So you can find the channel directly by its URL, or you can filter on a list of channel URLs if you need to get multiple channels back at the same time and you have the URLs for them. And if you're already using custom types, say for rendering purposes, there's also the metadata keys available on the channel that you can filter on metadata as well. Group channels include something called the last message, and you can filter the channel list based on the latest last messages. So if you want to see a list of recently active chats in your channel list, you can actually show the chats with the last messages inside of them right on your channel list. So there's some moderation and visibility options available as well. And channel operators are able to control this. So channel operators can ban and mute members or participants of a channel. They can also archive or hide a channel, freeze a channel to make it in like a read-only state, or they can actually delete other operators from the channel. And this is also controllable through our platform API. So if you want to set up operators, you can set them through the platform API. Members of a group channel can invite other users into that channel. And operators can do this as well. And if you want to show the channel history, you can do so. So say if I come into a channel that's already been around for a while that already has messages inside of it, by default, I can't see the full history, but there's a setting on the Sendbird dashboard that you can change to set that to true. So any user that joins into a channel later on, they can still see the full message history as a context. So this is kind of going through how the channel list works. So typically once the client app or your mobile, so this might be your mobile app, your web app, connects to Sendbird, you'll connect as in the context of a user. And that user will call to fetch their own list of channels through this create my group channel list query to the Sendbird server through the SDK. And the SDK fetches that and gives back, say, up to 100 channels in a channel list. And then the application is responsible for rendering them. And then once the user scrolls down in your app, you can call to load additional channels through the channel list.next method. Now, something that's great about Sendbird is if you're using the UI kit, this is all built in for you. You don't need to worry about fetching the next grouping of channels that's already baked in. So all you have to do is make a quick query to the channel list, and the UI kit handles all the rendering and things for you under the hood.